to welcome you to our second webinar. Where I'm going to proceed, I jump right into this because I have a lot of information to share today. We specifically put out that this webinar would focus on the 2016 NAUI standards and policies. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And obviously in a group this size, it's hard to have conversation. I'm going to try to get some help here to, if we have questions, and I'll see if I can pause throughout to try to respond. So I hope everyone's having a great day. I do appreciate your joining us here, and I see more people are joining as we proceed, but I'll go ahead and get started on time. So as you know, the NAUI Board of Directors approved changes in 2015, which we've rolled out into the 2016 Standards and Policies Manual. By the way, as a NAUI member, if you have not already gone online and retrieved that document, it is free in digital form to all NAUI members, and that will be our policy going forward. Each year, we will publish an updated 2016, the next year 2017, and so on, so that you'll always know when you look at a manual, and I'm looking at the current one, it should have the date for the year, for that calendar year. We've also, if you haven't already noticed, we highlighted the changes in orange font. So as you look through the standards, it's very easy to quickly identify what are the areas that have been changed. Now again, I realize today we're not going to have a give and take and a dialogue that some of you might desire. I do invite questions through email after the webinar as well, plus to your NAUI training reps in your respective areas, and of course you can always call the NAUI training department. So we're here to help interpret, understand, and implement the standards as approved by the NAUI Board of Directors. One last comment I'd like to make before I roll into this. I'm going to speak pretty quickly today because I have a lot of slides. I took the 60 slides out of the replication workshop that we're currently running around the world. Instructor trainers and course directors who want to maintain their designation as such are required to attend a requalification workshop. A big portion of that workshop focuses on these standards and policy changes. To be honest, I spend the entire morning in those workshops, about 3 to 4 hours, just on this topic. Today, I'm going to do a flyby in about no more than an hour to give as much information as I can. We're going to probably repeat this topic again or roll it out in different ways because this is important information that actually all NAUI members need to be aware of. So this will just be one communication vehicle that we use to try to help get that information out. So let's go ahead and jump into this, and let me get this. There we go. And so understand why were changes made. There were a couple of reasons why changes were implemented in 2015. One was for the ISO audit. Again, we announced at DEMA that we had completed an ISO, and now NAUI standards are certified ISO compliant throughout the entire world. That may not be so important in some areas, such as the United States, but in other parts of the world, it's very important that your training standards be ISO certified because some countries reference that as a requirement in order for standards to be accepted and certifications to be recognized. We've also added some new NAUI programs, so we'll talk about those very quickly. Substantial changes to the leadership progression. So how do you become a NAUI leader? That's a new revisions to the standards there. I'll take a fair amount of time this morning explaining that. Because again, every NAUI instructor is authorized to teach NAUI leadership programs, meaning assistant instructor, dive master, and a new program called the NAUI Fit program. And of course, then instructor trainers and course directors are qualified to oversee and organize instructor training programs. One thing that has not changed, NAUI instructors, in order to be authorized to teach NAUI leadership, you do have to have completed the online leadership and instruction guide, the e-learning program. It'll take you 3 or 4 hours. There's no cost to you if you have not already done it. Please call up NAUI headquarters, ask for a code. We'll give you the code for free, or send us an email. Okay, we'll get the code for free, and you can complete that requirement. And the whole purpose of that was rolled out in 2012. It's really a good requirement. It reviews, it has you go through a review. So number one, you're familiar with the product that your candidates in leadership training will actually be using during training. And it's a good review. I don't care who you are, how long you've been doing this. Periodic review helps to re-ground us in the policies, procedures, and the traditions that really make up what NAUI is all about. So I did it myself. I thought it was worthwhile, and I hope you do too. There's also, we'll take a moment, we deleted one course from the standards. So let's jump into what changes were occurred because of the ISO standard, the ISO certification. Number one, oops, I apologize. User error here, and there we go. I think I already addressed this slide. Actually, we did this for recognition, and we had to make some minor changes due to the to satisfy the ISO auditors. So what policies changed? The first one, they just wanted some change in wording. Does not change our practice. We always knew that ratios for open water dives always depended on ideal conditions. Conditions are less than ideal, we adjust accordingly. And this section really is just a rewording, again, to satisfy the auditors from the ISO. A lot of the changes in the ISO certification had to do with our pre-certification programs. That includes Tandem Scuba Diver, our Passport/Tri Scuba program. They wanted us to beef up the standards. Again, not really a change in practice. The actual content of those programs really was reflected in what's written now in a little bit longer verbal information or written information in the standards. So none of this here really should represent a change from practice for what you're doing. If you're doing these programs, please take a moment, look at the standard changes, make sure you're compliant. Again, into our Passport Diver program, there is a requirement. Now, one change here in the previous Passport Diver program, you were required to have direct supervision by an instructor for dive 1. You could have a dive master or qualified assistant lead subsequent dives. The ISO standard requires that for an uncertified diver, there has to be an instructor in direct supervision for the first 2 dives. You're going to see that creates a change also in our scuba diver course. So change there, direct supervision required for non-certified divers for the first 2 dives. Again, this addresses escorting and touring in the scuba diver course now. Again, they wanted really not a change in our practice in the scuba diver program. This had more to do with some wording changes to satisfy the auditors. However, the big change here, again, and for scuba diver, AIs, dive masters, they cannot escort students independent of an instructor during the first 2 dives. Okay. Previously, they could escort a tour beginning on dive 2 after evaluation of skills. Now it's dives 1 and 2. Again, similar to the previous topic of the previous course, the auditors wanted to see more description in the standards about what topics are actually taught to a student diver before assistants escort a tour. So again, this doesn't really change our practice. It just added additional information to the standard. They did want to see a couple of additional items listed to the scuba diving skills list. Again, these are skills that we're already doing in the water: inflating, deflating BCs, propelling yourself in the water, being able to breathe, and so on. So not really a change there. Again, same thing for skills under escorting and touring. not really a change, just a wording change for the auditors. Again, same here. So a lot of these were changes incorporated to satisfy the auditor, don't really significantly impact what we're teaching or doing in our scuba diver class already. There is another change though in the scuba diver class. This is a new skill in scuba diver. The standards now require that during the scuba diving course, we teach students and then actually on the open water dive, have them demonstrate the use of surface marker buoys, typically a safety sausage of some type. So the ability to inflate, deflate, retrieve, replace a surface marker buoy is now a required skill. It's not required that every diver has one during training. If the instructor wants to take one or two along with them on the dive and pass it around to the group to let students demonstrate the skill, that satisfies the requirement. So again, now listed in the actual skills, deploy and retrieve a surface marker buoy in our scuba diver course. So that's it for scuba diver. So the two changes that I want to bring to your attention is number one, direct supervision by an instructor in dives 1 and 2. Before it was just required for dive 1. And then also the requirement, the added skill of retrieving and replacing a surface marker buoy. Skin diving instructor, ISO requirements require for someone becoming a skin diving instructor, this does not affect scuba diving, a skin diving instructor, the skill requirement of a 900-yard snorkeling swim in 15 minutes or less. So if you're teaching skin divers, take a look at that. Also, in our glossary of terms, we defined what a rescue was, but we did not have a definition of what a skin diver assist is, so that's been added to the standard. Now, another change in our ISO, due to the ISO audit, our mixed gas blender course before was not specific about the gas you were mixing. Simply said you had to mix it within a certain percent, within 1 or 2% of the target. The auditors wanted us to include both nitrox and helium for mixed gas blender, so you see the corresponding standards for those of you who are teaching or are a mixed gas blender yourself. I mentioned already the skin diver assist, so there's the definition that's written up in the standards. You'll find that in the selected skills at the back of the manual. Now, let me go on to new programs. We've added, so that's it for the changes related to the ISO audit. I think you'll see not a whole lot of not sweeping changes, mostly just changes we're required to clarify what we're already doing, and the addition in the scuba diver course. By the way, we've been asked, for example, can training assistants still assist? Yes, they can do all those things. Again, it just has to do with direct supervision for dives 1 and 2. Okay, new NAUI programs. Here you see the list of the programs that have been added. So I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to run through next is a very, very brief overview of each of those. Please remember, what you're hearing and seeing on the screen is just an overview. It does not have all of the details that you will find in the S&P manual. So, so if you're thinking, well, wait, what about this, or did they leave that out? No, I think you'll find the answer to your question if you go look at the precise standard. Let's talk about recreational ice diver. When the technical diving division began, logically, ice diver became it's an overhead environment, and that was moved over to technical diving. However, we do have many divers around the world who participate in ice diving activities. I have been doing it for many years. I myself, years ago, used to teach an ice diving course up in New York during the winter, and we didn't have technical training standards at that time. But we respected the fact that we had an overhead environment. And in fact, at one point, ice diver was a very short standard in the NAUI S&P. We brought it back over to the recreational side, so there is a technical ice diver course. and also a recreational cyber course, which again reestablishes the right of NAUI members who are qualified. You still have to have the experience and have the authorization to teach ice diving as a specialty, but you don't have to comply with all the rigors of equipment configuration and the training requirements that might go with a more advanced technical course. So I think many members were waiting for that to happen, and that's been returned to standards. The public safety diver is an entirely new program that was in the works for a couple of years. There was a very active committee, and I don't have time today to run through the list of committee members, but there was a very strong committee of NAUI instructors who are experienced public safety divers, and they helped working with the board and the training department to develop a very comprehensive public safety diver curriculum. Again, check the who may conduct. Again, you have to apply for that authorization. You have to have some experience, obviously, as a PSD diver, and have permission from the training department before teaching that course. Free diver, level 1, 2, and 3. Many NAUI instructors had been teaching for years free diver and more advanced than just snorkeling as an instructor specified specialty. NAUI has added free diver into the curriculum now, so it no longer needs to be taught as a instructor specified specialty. You do have to apply for authorization to teach. Free diving is a very much an advanced topic with some overlap with scuba in terms of knowledge, but it's a very distinct skill set. So if you've got the qualifications, you can certainly request authorization to teach. Now, most of you know that we're also working with PFI, Performance Free Diver International, to develop a shared curriculum and program where NAUI and PFI will be forming an alliance together. In fact, I have meetings with the principal owners of that organization this coming weekend, and we'll be continuing our conversations. Once we have all the details of that alliance worked out, we will hold additional workshops for the membership, and eventually we'll be phasing out these separate free diver level 1, 2, and 3 standards and adopting the free diver standards based on the PFI material. So we'll collaborate together on that and roll out a revised program probably later this year. There'll be also some training opportunities, let me mention, on the free diving, and that'll be announced at the same time. Enriched Air Nitrox Blender, O2 Service Technician. So what is this? This is a gas blending course, but specific to nitrox. Many of us in the diving industry don't have a reason or don't have the facility for mixing helium, and since the mixed gas blender course requires as skills the ability to mix both nitrox and helium-based gases, we needed to form a separate course for those of us who are simply doing nitrox. So if you're training at a facility or have the need at a facility that only uses nitrox, is not into mixed helium-based gases, this is the course that allows you to do the training and certification for that skill set. Mine divers level 1 and 2. This is obviously a very targeted audience. This is based on cave diving standards, but there are some unique features about mines, and so in some locations around the world require specific mine diver certification for access to the environment. So now the training department sat down with experienced mine divers, developed, revised our cave diving standards to comply with mine diving requirements and issued standards. As you know, NAUI has been working with DAN, so we have you'll find in the current standards a NAUI first aid program and a NAUI-DAN first aid program. Ultimately, and this will be phased in over the next few years, it'll go back to just one program. It'll be the NAUI first aid program, but it will be the NAUI first aid program that's based on the DAN material and teaching guides. Within the next 1 to 2 weeks, I anticipate we will be sending out information to the NAUI membership. Any NAUI instructor and dive master and AIs are authorized to teach first aid through NAUI using the data materials once they have completed the online training modules. Again, there will be no charge for that. You do that at home in your own time. Once you've completed the online training modules, you will we'll add the authorization to your ability to teach those courses, assuming you've met all the other requirements to be in active status as an instructor or trainer. So we've been waiting for Dan to finish their work on their new e-learning platform, and we're in the final review mode. So look for information in the next week or two. The standards exist and will support that training. Now, another new program, completely new, the NAUI familiarization, what we call NAUI FIT, stands for Familiarization, Instruction, Testing. This is a brand new course that in one way kind of replaces the NAUI prep course, but it would help if you understand the progression that the board intended. So let's back up. We have NAUI divers or divers who've learned from anywhere, and they decide they would like to become a member of NAUI. They're interested, they're attracted by what we do, the quality of our instructional programs and our leadership, and they say, I want to join that group. So what's step one? Well, step one is to take a NAUI FIT course. And NAUI FIT is going to be that course, be about a weekend course that's going to include testing, and then also, so you're going to take some written exams, you're going to do all the water tests, so all those tests that we all passed as NAUI members, the swims, the snorkeling skills, the scuba skills, those will be tested at that point. Those skills were always put in the beginning of each course you're taking, AI, DM, or instructor, or the prep course. So we've consolidated all that testing into this one program called FIT. Also in this FIT program, you will take time as the instructor of record or the trainer for prospective members of NAUI. You'll give them an orientation to the association. So that's the familiarization piece. What is NAUI all about? What is our culture? What's our history? So you're going to have some presentations and discussion about NAUI. And they're also going to get a chance as a candidate or a potential candidate to try a little bit of teaching in the classroom, pool, and open water. So we give them the opportunity to do a little bit of teaching these ungraded, but you give them some feedback about their readiness. The goal of this program is to assess their readiness to proceed with instructor development or leadership development. This is a great course, and I really commend the board for creating this program. This is the opportunity in the training progression to give people a solid grounding in in NAUI principles and values, standards, and to assess their readiness to proceed. If you find a candidate who's weak, let's say they're very weak in knowledge areas, then we identify that at this level, give them the appropriate tutoring or recommendations to pursue further experience or training before they proceed with leadership training. In my opinion, if someone gets into a leadership course, an instructor course, and they fail that program, then I think we didn't do our job right as trainers. We should not be running programs as pass-fail. They're developmental courses. We're taking people who are interested in becoming NAUI, and if we assess that they have the ability to do so, then our job is to guide them, mentor them, develop them, and bring them along. This is not a pass-fail program. The FIT program is not pass-fail. It is an assessment program at the end of which the new prospective candidate will get a report card, essentially, get a report, a summary from that instructor assessing your readiness to proceed with NAUI training. And every NAUI instructor is authorized to teach that program. You need to, because it is a prerequisite program to AI or Dive Master. So take a look at the standards. We have a revision coming out in the next, very shortly. We're in final editing mode for a revised instructor and leadership guide, instructor guide, to guide the teaching of these programs. So look for that to be coming out within the next month or so. And we should have full implementation of these courses by June 1. So if you're currently running leadership programs, by the way, you're continue doing those based on the previous standards, the 2012 standards. You're good to go. Any program started before June 1 can be conducted in accordance to the 2012 standards. You feel free to go ahead and use the 2016 revised standards. But after June 1, we'll be looking for full compliance and adoption of the new 2016 leadership standards. It begins with the Now Fit program. We added a Now Instructor crossover course. The crossover course never really went away. If you remember, in the 2012 revision, the instructor crossover course was hypothetically, it was eliminated, but what was added to the standards was recognition of prior learning, so that when a candidate who is crossing over as an instructor with another agency wanted to become a NOWI instructor, there was a guided recognition process to go through and give them credit for what they've already accomplished and demonstrated through their credentials and experience and resume. So it's never required that you have to do every single presentation and workshop for an instructor crossover. But I think the board recognized that it seemed to be a concept or practice that it was difficult for people to fully understand or implement, and the decision was made it would be easier to simply return the instructor crossover course with the required segments out of the full ITC curriculum, what's required for a crossover. So that was added back into the curriculum. Now again, a crossover candidate would first complete NOWI Fit. Going forward, as by June 1, anyone becoming a NOWI member, the gate you pass through is NOWI Fit. Are you ready for the rigors of NOWI membership, NOWI leadership, NOWI instructor rating? So we give them an assessment so we can give them the support, the tutoring, or the advice they need before they continue down a path. Again, not interested in failing people. I'm interested in mentoring, developing, and helping people become successful members of NOWI. So that's a little bit about the ICC. So again, I apologize for this is probably a little tiring to listen to without a little more interaction, but the format is what it is. So I'm going to keep rolling on for a few more minutes here. Let's jump into part 3. What's been changed in the standards? All right. Let's back up for a moment. Go back to policies for all courses. This was who may teach was just some additional wording or rewording of our current policies to comply with the ISO audit. So that's just an amendment. The path to NOWI leadership is new or modified, and I already mentioned that. So here you see a little schematic that shows everyone begins at NOWI Fit. From NOWI Fit, you can go to AI or DM or instructor crossover course, and then AIs and DMs can proceed to ITC. If you have a AI or dive master from another recreational scuba training agency, they can take the NOWI Fit and go directly to the ITC. So that's not really shown here in this slide, but be aware that that's certainly that is spelled out in the standard. So what is required is after taking NOWI Fit, you have to be an AI or DM. If you've already achieved that level of training from another agency, NOWI will recognize that and go ahead and move that candidate into an ITC. Of course, if they're already an instructor with another agency, then they could proceed to the instructor crossover course. This is giving a little bit more information about the NOWI Fit program. So what's required? Now, let me spend a moment talking about the progression of experience and training that's expected of someone becoming a NOWI member. First of all, minimum age 18. That has not changed. But here's a change in our leadership and instructor standards. Right now, today, all NOWI instructors are authorized to teach nitrox. Yet we still have many NOWI instructors who, it seems a little incredulous to me, who are not nitrox certified and never use nitrox. So if you think about that, right there, you say, that doesn't make sense. The NAUI board has added nitrox certification as a prerequisite to becoming a NAUI member. So you could do that as a NAUI diver, nitrox diver, or you could do it as a recognition course. So if somebody lives in a more remote area, they may not have access or the need or the interest to dive nitrox, that's fine. But today's diving professional needs to understand nitrox, needs to know what it is, and if you're an instructor, you need to be able to teach it and talk intelligently about it. So step one, all NAUI members going forward will be nitrox certified before they come into a leadership program. First aid, O2 provider, those things remain, and so on. You look at the fit level, again, 25 dives, minimum experience, and 12 and a half hours of dive time. So again, keep in mind that this is an abbreviation of the full content. There's some additional requirements. Some of them are not changed, and we didn't list them here. One note about the FIT course. You don't become a member when you complete FIT. We haven't changed the bylaws. You have to be an AI or dive master or a skin diving instructor to become, or an instructor to be a member of NAUI. But NAUI FIT is that assessment piece before you start down that leadership path. So it's not a certification. The person would register and get a recognition card recognizing their completion of the NAUI FIT course. That card is the prerequisite to go on with training. So we have verification of training through the certification process. If the card lapses, the card will have an annual renewal fee. That fee is $95, and the reason for that fee is because at the FIT level, think about this as induction into NAUI. So when a person completes their FIT program, they register as a FIT graduate, they've indicated their desire and interest in becoming a NAUI member. So we will put them on the mail. They'll get sources, they'll start getting looped into or inducted into the NAUI family. So they won't have all the rights and benefits and privileges. They won't be able to go buy at member prices or whatever. But we will start bringing them into the NAUI family and informing them. So that $95 fee goes to their membership support to get things like sources, be notified of emails, come to NAUI, attend NAUI events, and so on. A little bit more about the NAUI FIT course. You see here, here's the content, what would be covered in that program. And that should look fairly familiar. I talked about it a little bit in the previous slides. I do want to draw your attention to the 10 exams. So another big change in the leadership training and instructor training. At the end of the instructor course, with the standards, the NAUI board has returned the core theory and applied topic exams that used to be a part of the NAUI training. Many of us may remember those days when there were 10 exams at the end of the program, and you had to pass all 10. We're going back to that process to make sure that NAUI instructors are the best informed, most knowledgeable professionals in the diving industry. So there's a list of topics: equipment, physiology, environment, rescue, nitrox, physics, decompression theory, decompression tables, first aid, dive skills and practices. 10 separate exams, 25 questions each, which must be passed with a score of 80% or better at the instructor level. Now, why is it in here at the FIT level? At the FIT level, you're going to be assessed. There's exams you'll take, will be a shorter exam, and they will assess your knowledge as a candidate at those levels. You can fail them and continue on, but it's kind of a way of giving the candidate notice, here's what you're good at, here's your weakness. And be aware that at the end of this training progression, this is the final exam at the end. Again, not interested in failing people. So if someone has a weakness, we identify it up here at step one, so they can begin to take action to remediate, self-study, seek out additional training, whatever it is they need to do to bolster their knowledge, their experience, to be ready to become a NAUI member. The swimming skills and scuba skills have not really changed. In fact, no change to the testing there, so I won't take any time right now talking about those. And in the adult, I mentioned earlier, the teaching presentations evaluated but not graded to give the candidate, the potential candidate, an idea of what's coming. Well, how do I get ready for an ITC experience or a Dive Master or AI program? The again, the summary, what exams are required in the FIT program? The exams are diagnostic only to give the candidate additional information. At the end of the program, they'll be registered, they'll be registered, they're not joining, they'll be registered, it'll be a certification process as a NAUI FIT graduate. FIT graduates are qualified then to enroll in a NAUI assistant instructor course, a NAUI Dive Master course, or instructor crossover course. All right, those, or if they're already an AI or DM, they can go to an instructor ITC instructor course. So so you should have picked up by now also another change in the past. Under the 2012 standards, we have now an instructor. You become a NAUI instructor bypassing AI and DM altogether, just by taking the NAUI prep course. That's no longer allowed, and that is the course that was deleted, the NAUI prep course, replaced by the NAUI FIT course required of everyone at the start of training. So the next step in leadership and instructor development is becoming either AI or Dive Master. And so let's talk about the AI program. Remember, at the FIT level, the prerequisite experience was 25 dives. Here at the AA level, now it's up to 50 dives. You have to be a FIT graduate. You have to be current in your first day training. All the other requirements that were listed previously, they're not listed here because you already satisfied those. So yes, you already showed us you're a scuba diver. You already showed us you're a master diver. You've taken a rescue diver. So I don't need to keep listing all of those prerequisites because as they are satisfied and checked off in the progression, we move forward. So here the prerequisites for AI is FIT graduate, current first aid, and minimum 50 dives experience. Again, the emphasis on a review at this level, we're not giving you those final exams and those 10 topics, but part of the AI program will be to review and offer any tutoring that might be needed to help that candidate continue in his or her development of their knowledge and readiness for certification. And the red, by the way, in these slides indicates change. Blue is what already existed. So you can see the review of those 10 topics is added to the content of the AI program. We also added some additional requirements for demonstrating, and these are skills that, quite frankly, when I look back at the standards, it was almost surprising that some of these things weren't in the AI program already. Look at the assisting and the confined and open water skills. That's what assistant instructors do. That was not part of the training process before for AI. That's been added. And we have folks doing some classroom and confined water presentations. So again, evaluated but not graded. These are for educational and training purposes. So those have been added. They continue at the AI level to take the online exams using the e-learning program as currently exists, which means they take a pre-qualification exam and they take the final exam for assistant instructor online as they currently do. And the course results is once they've satisfied all the requirements, they become a member of NAUI as an assistant instructor. They're now qualified to proceed to an ITC, although the recommendation is made that the additional experience, depending on the candidate, is certainly probably desirable. Let's move right over to the Dive Master. NAUI Dive Master, the only change of prerequisites is now the required number of dives is 60. So we've moved up to 60 dives. And again, here in red, you see in terms of what again, we're talking at a very high level here, just a quick snapshot of the course content. What's added? We added information about methods of instruction and again, a review of the topics. Now, just in case anyone is wondering, a candidate does not have to do both programs. They do not have to do AI and Dive Master. They can do one or the other. But if you have an instructor or a candidate whose ultimate goal is to become an instructor, they must do one of these programs, AI or DM. They're both really different skill sets, so no harm in doing both. But you'll see a little bit of blending of some of the skills between the two programs to make sure that gaps that might have existed before if you only did one program or the other get filled in, so that you get a little bit more education, a little bit more training and experience before you go on with your instructor training. So the intent here is really to develop a comprehensive professional training program that at the end produces the world's very best diving instructors. Again, Dive Master, some classroom presentation topics. Now, I said earlier, and I think a lot of people forget this, that NAUI dive masters and assistant instructors and skin diving instructors can teach NAUI first aid courses. There's what do they have to do to be authorized to do that? They have to complete the training module from the ITC with an instructor, trainer, or course director from the ITC curriculum. So if you're a NAUI dive master and I want to be able to teach NAUI first aid, we want you to do that. All you have to do, in addition to the dive master curriculum or AI curriculum, is get with a NAUI instructor, trainer, or course director, complete that 4-hour module or however long it takes, the teaching NAUI first aid module that's a part of the ITC curriculum. And also with the DAN Alliance, you would complete the online, no additional fee, but complete the online training modules for DAN. And as a NAUI dive master or NAUI AI, you can go out and teach the NAUI first aid programs using the DAN materials. It's a return on investment for your NAUI membership. Obtaining those credentials outside of NAUI would cost in excess of $1,000 to do a DAN training. A NAUI membership, that's an ROI, that's the benefit of NAUI membership, and that alliance was made possible because DAN recognizes the quality training that we do with our candidates. So I hope that's good information, and I encourage everyone to get involved in providing first aid training. I'll be honest with you, our first aid certification numbers are very low. I hope to see that change because all of us have to maintain currency in first aid requirements. And certification requirements reports would indicate to me that we're, as NAUI members, we're going outside of NAUI to obtain training and instead of providing it to ourselves and to our members, which is why we started offering NAUI first aid programs to begin with. Again, online requirements for NAUI Dive Master have not changed. I would note you can complete those before or after attendance, just have to be done before certification is issued. So every NAUI instructor can teach Dive Master, skin diving instructor, and AI. All you have to do is make sure you've already completed the online module that was a requirement imposed in 2012. Again, no charge to do that. If you haven't, just call us. We'll get you the code, and you'll be good to go. Let's talk about the NAUI instructor course. I should have put in red here the minimum of the experience requirement 60 long dives. It used to be 50. It's up to 60. So that's really the only change there. And again, the blue indicates in terms of content from the standards. Blue means that there was no change, and so we'll comment further on that. But here are some changes. We're looking to make sure that NAUI instructors, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I say with pride, that NAUI instructors are the best underwater educators in the world. The depth of our knowledge, the breadth of our knowledge is impressive. And we want to make sure, that's such a fundamentally part of the NAUI tradition and culture. And the board wanted to make sure that we maintain a really, we've probably been a little lax over some years. And so this is a kind of a reset to say, let's make sure that NAUI instructors honor our traditions and the value of the NAUI brand, that we are the best. So here's what we're looking for. You're going to do a few more presentations during the ITC, but there's a bit more specificity of what topics. And so you can, I won't go through these in detail, but you can get an idea here. You have to, as an instructor, demonstrate, as an instructor can demonstrate the ability to teach at different levels on different topics. And you will definitely notice an emphasis on, we want to know that now instructors can explain the sciences behind the diving that we're doing. Now, that doesn't mean we teach, gas laws in our scuba diver classes, but the expectation is when you're dealing with a professional, we know more than our students. And that knowledge also guides our ability to offer more advanced training to the public, to the students who want to go beyond just entry-level training. So we're looking for people who can teach at the master diver level, teach nitrox, teach rescue, teach leadership, teach first aid, because those are all of the courses that when you walk out of your ITC, that brand new instructor is authorized to teach. And quite honestly, I feel that the ROI that NAUI offers to a dive center, why would a dive center hire a NAUI instructor? Well, the best reason I can think of is because I'm going to give you the best trained professional who can teach not just scuba diver, but can teach the full curriculum. And we harp continuously about the benefit and value in a business model of teaching continuing education. It has a better return on the investment, higher profit margin. So we want to make sure NAUI instructors are absolutely the best trained. These classroom teaching requirements are intended to give our candidates the opportunity to demonstrate just how good they are to their evaluators. And if they need a little polishing, that's our job as trainers to help bring them up to speed. So similar kind of process in the confined water and open water, a little bit more, a couple of additional training, teaching in those environments requirements to complete during the ITC. Again, the focus is on breadth of the depth and breadth of knowledge. The instructor course itself, there you see at the end, so what's required for testing at the instructor level? Same requirements online. Do the pre-qualification exam, complete the online training module, take the final exam. Those can all be done open book. But here at the end, there's 10 exams. We've talked about them all the way from the FIT process on through, and at that level, there's 10 different exams, 25 questions each, have to pass with an 80% or better. And at that point, once you've met all the requirements, we will be glad to welcome another NAUI instructor to the NAUI family. Similar, I'm going to move right into instructor crossover, similar requirements, but one thing I want to point out here is not a typo, the minimum of 100 open water dives. And some people say, wait a minute, it's only 60 for an instructor. Why is it 100 for an instructor crossover? And the reason is, quite frankly, we want to make sure that if someone is coming over as an instructor crossover, that they have legitimately earned an instructor rating somewhere else, and they have some experience before. This was not just a shortcut path that I took. I found some way of obtaining some rating as a short circuit to a more in-depth training. So those candidates who have actual experience of at least a year as an instructor are welcome to cross over to NAUI. But so that's the reason for the 100 dive additional requirement. Again, you see the content areas that are covered, NAUI orientation and so on, during the instructor crossover. You can read the standards. Fewer presentations in a crossover, but still taking a look at the breadth of topics so that we have confidence that that new member is meeting NAUI standards. Same thing, the confined and open water. So again, I know I'm going quickly. You can reference those during by looking at the manual yourself. And again, instructor trainers and course directors are all currently in the process of requalifying, coming to the workshops. We go into much more detail in those workshops on these slides. Let's just take a couple of minutes here. We're nearly finished. Let's talk about NAUI instructor trainer. Effective June 1st, we're going to require more experience before someone becomes a instructor trainer. I think this just makes sense. Quite frankly, we have some people have become a NAUI instructor, and some we've gotten paperwork here where someone becomes an instructor trainer a week after they became an instructor. You might kind of wonder if that person, now, I will always grant there are always an exception to every rule. Certainly some people will be eminently qualified, but you have to think that does it really make sense that a person who just became an instructor, now suddenly they become the instructor trainer? We think it's more reasonable that they get a little bit more of experience. So we want someone who's at least 21 years of age. They've been teaching, they have 150 certifications. They haven't taught just entry-level training, but have taught additional courses as well. And they have some experience serving as a staff member on ITCs or other leadership programs. So, again, those are achievable goals, and I hope some of you are aspiring to achieve them. It's what we used to do in the Nowe family, and again, a little bit of a return to our roots here. Moving up to a Nowe course director. So how do you become a course director? Again, you'll see that we've increased the experience requirements. Again, not as a hurdle. I hope many of you who are listening to the seminar are inspired to say, I want to become a course director. I got to tell you, I want you to be a course director, but we want to know, you want to know that when you stand in that smaller circle of people who are now course directors, that isn't a privileged group like Good Old Boys Club. That is a group of individuals who have distinguished themselves and who have earned the right to be now a course director because they put the time in, and we all continue to learn ourselves. So we become better trainers, and those are the people that we want to have training the generation of Nowe leaders. So that's the thinking behind it. And again, I hope it kind of motivates you and maybe inspires you a little bit to really join us. I really believe Nowe is in a new phase of life and a renaissance of Nowe, the Nowe leadership, the quality of Nowe leadership, and I hope you'll be a part of it. The course director trainer, our final additional program was added this last year by the board, and that's for Nowe course directors who have had extensive experience at the course director level, become a trainer to grant course director designation to future. Take someone who's an instructor trainer, they're authorized to run course director workshops. Again, we won't have a ton of those, but for folks who are qualified and are interested, the standards speaks more about that level of designation. That's a designation. Remember, all of these are designations. We're all instructors. So let me move on to deleted courses. I already mentioned it earlier. We only deleted one course, the prep course. We developed the Nowe Fit. That becomes the gateway that has the completion of all the testing requirements in terms of watermanship skills and the assessment of your knowledge and readiness, and then we move into the training progression from there. So that's it. And I can't believe I did that in about 55 minutes. Before I leave, I do want to mention that next month, the topic we're going to talk about is branding. We get a lot of questions about how can I use the Nowe name, can I use the Nowe logo. We'll spend time next month talking about what are the rules in your rights as a Nowe member to use the Nowe trademarks in your personal life, in your advertising, in your business operations. We've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. We're going to talk about that more. Probably have Garrett Kotz here to help with that conversation. One last thing I would like to say. If this information we've talked about today is privileged communication within the Nowe family, if you've recorded this seminar, that's fine. But I want to remind you, it is not for release to the public. It doesn't get posted on Facebook or other websites. We want to communicate within the Nowe family, but some communications are intended for members only, and others are for the public. So please keep that in mind. I wish I could look into all your faces right now and ask if there's questions. I do see that there are 19 questions. Derek, you want to help me look at this real quick?
Most of the lines are.
Most of that, okay. I have, last month when we were in here, we were all in one studio here at headquarters. We had a problem with the wireless network today, so unfortunately my associates had to go over to another part of the building to get online, and we're not in the same room. So I apologize. Last time they were feeding questions to me, it was very, very helpful. Whether, and I'm taking a look here, Derek has told me that most of the questions were being answered through the chat channel on the webinar. So I think at this point, I'm going to assume that questions have been answered. If your question wasn't answered, please just shoot me an email. Be glad to get back to you. And again, feel free to talk with your NOWI reps, talk with the NOWI training department, talk with each other. Sometimes the conversations just say, hey, I think the standards are this or that. I'm going to tell you the truth. We have that kind of conversation here every day at headquarters. It's fascinating to me that those of us who've been around, some of us for decades, will still go, I think it's this. And we look up and say, oh, that's not quite what I thought. That's why we do requalifications. That's why we go back to the source. So if you can't find the answer or you're not sure, give us a shout. If you think the standards ought to be changed, call Lenny Sharp. The standards are written by the NOWI board, so I don't want Lonnie to shoot me. But if you have a suggestion regarding standards, feel free to share that with the training department. But we will also then forward that to the board of directors for their consideration. So with that, I'm going to wish all of you a great day. It is a pleasure for me to be here serving you. And if there's anything that any of us here at NOWI headquarters can do, you have a very dedicated team here. I don't do this by myself. There's a lot of people who work very, very hard every day. So give us a call, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Take care.